Hi, welcome to Abruzzo and another edition of Italy Vino, where today, in response to many requests, we are featuring the king of Italian wines, Barolo. Yes, Chianti, yes, lots of other great Italian red wines, but the only one that can really hold its own with some of the great red wines of France is Barolo. And like the great red wines of France, it can command stratospheric prices from single vineyard examples. I've seen long-aged Barolos on posh restaurant menus for over €1,000 a bottle. This is great stuff. It's made from the Nebbiolo grape. It is almost immortal, well made from a good year. The downside is that a good Barolo is very expensive, and to find a good entry-level generic Barolo is pretty difficult, which is where this particular producer comes in. Producer Fontanafredda. They are one of the very biggest wine producers in Italy, and you may think, like I did before I discovered Fontanafredda and their version of Barolo, that when it comes to making wine, big is bad. With Fontanafredda, think again, because although they are a huge winery and produce something like 70 different types of wine, they are a wonderful producer, and they're so good, in fact, that Gambero Rosso, who produced the annual Italian Wines Bible, named them Italy's Wine Producer of the Year just a couple of years ago. They're very good indeed. And as a general guide, if you ever see any bottle of wine with the Fontanafredda label on it, buy it, because you will get a very good wine. And especially so when it comes to a Barolo, you have a pretty good guarantee that for an entry-level generic Barolo that costs around €20, this is going to be good stuff. Even better, it's the 2004 vintage, which is a very good vintage. This particular wine will have had a couple of years in wood. It will have had 1 year in bottle. You hope that since then it's been stored properly and has not been sitting on some supermarket or wine merchant shelf. You hope that it's been stored properly, and the only way we can find if it's been stored properly is to open it up and inspect the cork, because if the cork is bone dry, then that will be an unfortunate sign that the wine, the bottle, might have been stored standing up. If it's got a little bit of dampness underneath, it will show that it has been stored correctly on its side. Now, as you will know, Barolo is a DOCG wine, which is the sort of very best grading that an Italian wine can have. It comes from Piedmont, which is in the north of Italy, and in particular, Barolo is produced in an area to the southwest of the region. Good. It is a little bit damp. Promises well. The cork proclaims is made by Fontanafredda from the 2004 vintage. We'll leave that a moment or two just to get a little bit of air into it. In fact, we'll pour it into the glass to ease the aeration process. And it almost looks like old claret, a wonderful brick red colour. Telltale sign of a well-aged Barolo is a little sort of orange glint on the rim. Faintly, yes. Yes, indeed. And an absolutely punch from the glass of almost a floral note with tarry undertones. Now tar might sound not very pleasant, but it's sort of rich and earthy and powerful. Well, I'm going to resist the temptation. I'll let that sit for a minute while I tell you a little bit more about it. Okay, it's 2004 vintage, which is a very good year, 13.5 proof, DOCG we've mentioned, Italy's highest rating, from Piedmont. Fontanafredda, who make this, produce some fantastic single estate Barolos as well, which if you are treating yourself to a very special occasion meal and you have money to spare, would be a fabulous wine to have. But this is as good an entry-level Barolo as you're going to find. Even though it is entry-level, it would certainly repay, especially for a wine that's 8 years old now, it would repay just decanting an hour or so before you drink it. There will be a little bit of sediment in the bottle, and decanting, as I say, it lets the air get to it and really does allow the wine to sort of expand after it's come out of the bottle and develop its scent and its taste. That's wonderful. It is astonishingly good. There are still a hint of tannin, which will prolong, if you could bear to keep it on a shelf flat. This is a wine that, although is already 8 years old, it's got at least another 3, 4, 5 years left in it. It will only get better. Those tannins will softer. It is soft enough as it is at the moment. I'm getting almost like a kind of red rose scent off this. A long, deep, rich finish. This is not a red wine that you sip when you fancy a glass of red. This is a wine that deserves good food to accompany it. This will stand up to rich, dark, red meat dishes, to braises, to game, to venison, to game birds, and to strong cheeses as well. And like I say, for an entry-level Barolo, costing in Italy around 20 euros, regrettably probably more than wherever you happen to be, it's well worth it. And really, I've tried some pretty grim generic Barolos, and this is unquestionably the best. You will find Fontanafredda, as I said a little earlier, they are a big enough winery to have export markets all over the world. You may struggle to find the 2004. I was very lucky to get hold of this. The most recent the most recent vintage on sale is the 2007 from Fontanafredda. 2004, better vintage, I think. 2007 not bad, 2004 a little bit better. Buy the 2007, try it, and you will absolutely not be disappointed at all. And as I said, if you see the Fontanafredda brand on any bottle label, they make good wine, and big in this instance is good. Marks out of 10 for this. 8.4. If you were being hypercritical, and perhaps a little bit unfairly, as it is just a generic Barolo, a little bit more roundness, a little bit more oomph, although the initial taste is there and it's good got a long, very long finish. Could do with something in the mid-range, just a little, hypercritical, but it's a tiny, tiny criticism. So, the king of Italian wines, does it deserve its reputation? Unquestionably yes. It's a wine that I'm sure you will enjoy. Thanks, as always, for watching. We'll see you next time. For the time being, cheers and goodbye.